listening to the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast, a podcast in sisterhood for female entrepreneurs that serves up savvy, actionable marketing advice and interviews with creative business owners who are in the trenches, building their businesses as we speak. The Marketing in Yoga Pants community is for you, the girl on her couch, in her yoga pants, top knot tight, hunched over her MacBook, trying her hardest to get the word out about her business. So in the name of supporting each other while supporting ourselves, bringing community, sound marketing advice, coffee, chocolate, and wine together for you, yoga pants wearing business owner, in a world where followers mean nothing, but paying customers mean the world, join us on this week's podcast episode and in our private Facebook group where you'll meet your soul sisters and build your business in yoga pants. Welcome back to another episode of the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. I'm Brit and I'm here today with Steph Hayes, Business Strategist and Coach at StephanieHayes.biz. Thank you so much for joining me today, Steph.
Oh, thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. Okay, so I originally met Steph in a Facebook group, surprise, surprise, and I have been referring a lot of people over her way because she's a rock star at what she does, you guys. This whole business strategy thing, yeah, she's got it and she's got it down. So we're going to bring out some of that brilliance today in our conversation, but I'm just, needless to say, pretty pumped to get to chat with her, get some insight into her business and her industry, her marketing strategy, and what makes it all tick. So Steph, you ready to jump in?
Totally ready. Let's do it.
Let's do this. Okay, so first of all, Steph, tell me how you earn your living.
I earn my living as a business strategist and coach. So I work with entrepreneurs who have been in business for a little while and realize that they need to shift in some way or pivot. Maybe they're not making as much money as they'd like to, or they have some bigger plans, or the biggest thing for me is that their strategy, what they're doing, doesn't match their vision for their business. So it's all about alignment. And if they aren't currently aligned with what their business is, what they want their business to be, and what it is currently, it's just going to feel like an uphill battle every day. I offer strategy design and alignment packages, either quick bite-sized strategy sessions so we can kind of get things moving for you, or a business model redesign where we'll examine your whole business model and figure out what you want to achieve and how to achieve it. And we'll create a detailed plan for you getting there.
Oh, that's awesome. And I've seen some of just like little snippets of how you do that with your mind maps and just figuring it all out. That's stuff that tends to overwhelm us as especially creative entrepreneurs. So, okay, business strategy, that's your jam. Tell me the story of how you came to do this with your life.
I have worked as a business consultant for very many years, and I worked in startups for my entire career. And through the process of working within startups and eventually building my own startups and building my own businesses, I really got to see and to try out how being a business owner really works and looks. And just over the years have gathered a whole bunch of experience, and to the point where people started to ask me to help them out and to start working with them, because I could quite easily figure out what their issues were and what their concerns were and where they needed to go from where they were right then. In the corporate world, I spend a lot of time working with larger companies, looking at the strategy for small business units, which is very similar to a startup and to a small business as well. So I really like the small business space and ended up becoming a coach and a strategist for small businesses and startups.
Awesome. Okay, so what did the transition look like then? You kind of mentioned you're a business consultant and you had a couple of startups of your own. And so where did the transition come in to really lean into business strategist and coach Stephanie Hayes?
I think it really came from my own experience. I started out my first proper business 2007, 2008, just before I had my first kid, which was an experience in itself. And going through that process and going through, 8 years of running this consulting company where I had a number of consultants and business partners and that sort of thing. I mean, those are where you really kind of cut your teeth. And although I still own some of my own businesses now, I really love being able to take what I've learned and the experiences that I have and work towards this kind of vision of encouraging entrepreneurship and helping people with the piece that they often don't have, which is, I'm a skilled tradesperson, or I have a craft and I want to make this a thing out on my own, but I don't really know. Maybe I tried for a little while and I've got this business now and I know I need to level up. I know I need to shift, but I don't really know how. And I'm not doing anything because I'm just not sure of how to get there. So that's my superpower, and that's the piece that I know really well and that I can do really well. And I just turned that into a business and started coaching around the strategy piece rather than all of the tactics where a lot of people kind of get stuck.
Okay, I can see where that is highly valuable. That's why I send people to you. Okay, so take me back to your very first client. How did you get their attention and earn your first dollar under this name, under this business?
I spent the last decade or so working with startups and in the startup world. So I was a mentor for startups in the university. They had a seed fund and they wanted to bring startups out of their kind of academic environment and move them in to become funded startups within their seed fund. And then I worked, building a local accelerator for startups and put on startup events. So I think my network kind of associated me with startups. My first coaching client was actually a friend of mine who had built a business in the manufacturing industry and was an amazing craftsman, but his business was growing and he wasn't really sure what to do next. And his story is just kind of one that I'd love to reference. So he asked me to start working with him, and we've worked together for the last 4 or 5 years, building this foundation for his business and creating a business model that kind of affords him the lifestyle that he wants to build for himself and his staff, but also allows them to deliver these amazing services for really high-end luxury clients. And the work that the company does is just stunning, and it's been an absolute joy to kind of watch it mature and grow, but also to watch him mature and grow. We've tripled his revenue over 4 years, and now he's established and well-known in his industry. And he's specifically built a brand around lean principles and attention to process and the work environment. And that's the brand that he wanted to create. So I think in the work that I do, as this client has seen, I want to grow the business, but I also want to grow and mature the business owner so that they have enough skills to carry on with confidence and they don't need me there all the time with them. And so this first client was kind of just a great example of how that's happened.
Okay. And so how did you get your next couple of clients? What did that look like?
Referrals mainly. I think my second client, she had or still has an apparel company. And so she's built technical apparel I live in an area where it's all about outdoor recreation and everybody's super fed and does all sorts of things outside. And so technical apparel is actually a cluster here, a business cluster. So there's lots of these little companies. Anyway, she had built this company, but she, again, had gotten to the point where she was like, I'm a designer, I'm a creative, I make these beautiful pieces of clothing that make people's butts look really good, and everybody feels great wearing them, and they're high-waisted, and she had really listened to her audience. But she was at this place where she was like, I don't know how to make this more profitable. And I'm also just not feeling right with this business. So when we looked at her business, and this comes back to that whole concept of alignment, she really wanted to, we looked at her values, and her values really came back to being able to support a local economy and people. And she wanted to make sure that everybody in her value chain was benefiting from working for her company. And yet from a financial perspective, she's had a lot of pressure to go and manufacture overseas. And that just wasn't sitting right with her, because her values were all about the local economy and ensuring that she could make sure everybody had a good lifestyle that was working within her product. Once we took manufacturing overseas off the table, all of a sudden she was excited about her business again. And from a financial perspective, we just had to look at a different model for her selling and just adjust what her business needs to be. And that kind of comes back to this kind of platform I have, that really anything's possible. And if you're committed and this is what you really want, you can do it. It just depends on how much you're willing to invest in your business.
Mm-hmm. And working with somebody that can see those things, because when you're in it, you're just in it, and it's hard to see those other possibilities. Yep. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. That's what all of these entrepreneurs are struggling with. They're mired in the everyday, in the day-to-day business, and the financials and the production stuff and blah, blah, blah. And this is the same for online entrepreneurs, right? They get stuck in their tactics and thinking that everything needs to be, another sales funnel or something like that. But they're going to continue chasing their tails until they are able to stand back and have this shift and have this kind of aha moment where they recognize that their offers, we spend a lot of time looking at offers and looking at clients and making sure that those two are aligned, and that those are aligned with what the business is that they want to build, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And now take me to today. Are you still getting mostly your clients from referrals? What does that look like?
Yeah, I would say so. I took my business online earlier this year because I had quite a few offline clients working with smaller businesses and what have you. When I took it online, I tried a lot of different things, and I spent the first few months kind of trying to be everywhere and reach everybody. What really worked for me was referrals and networking. And so I've since narrowed down my marketing activities and started leveraging my natural ability to create relationships and develop connections with business owners that need my services or know others that do. Mm-hmm. I call it sniper marketing, entrenching yourself as an expert to one or a few business owners at a time. And because I've shifted my own brand to start serving more experienced clients with more premium level services, mass marketing is just not going to work for me. There are strategies for that kind of one-to-many marketing that can lead someone down a funnel to my services, but really the amount of effort that I put in is really going to be focused on that one-to-one. Mm-hmm. And that ability to, just like you referenced before, being able to share those little bite-sized opportunities to showcase the work that I do and build that really strong referral network so I can make sure that I get the right clients. Because if I don't have the right clients, just like anyone, it's going to be a struggle to deliver those services and demonstrate the value that those business owners are going to get from those services. I'm also working with a PR coach right now who's amazing, and I'll be ramping up all my PR strategies to gain some visibility once my new site goes live.
Oh, nice. Okay. I want to take a little detour because I know that you have a unique kind of perspective on this business coaching realm that we hear about so much. And you really are hanging your hat on the fact that you're a business strategist. So tell me a little bit about that. I know this is like a fiery topic for you, but tell me about your the stake you've put in the ground on this topic.
The stake I've put in the ground on this topic is that you can spend a lot of time speculating and hand-wringing and taking courses and going down the route of mindset and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, you still have to do something. And I'm hanging my hat on the extensive experience I have building companies offline and online, but also, I have a formal education in business administration. I have a master's in business administration in technology, and that's essentially a master's in entrepreneurship. So I am leveraging the experience and the expertise that I have to work with clients who are going to appreciate and value that. But we're very focused on getting things done. I'm not going to sit and talk to you forever about your current situation. We're not going to speculate. We're going to sit down. We're going to roll up our sleeves, and we're going to start building some plans for you to get from where you are to where you want to be. And I don't want to leave you until you have really crystal clear idea of what your plan of action is going to look like. So the differentiation is around that action and that execution. I find that the coaching world has been inundated with it's one of those things there's a very low barriers to entry to put up your welcome mat and say, I'm a coach. Okay, well, what qualifies you to be a coach, right? And when you dig and you start to peel away the layers on a lot of quote unquote business coaches, you'll find that a lot of that is really tactical, or it's mindset coaching, which is, both things are valuable in their own perspective. But moving to that strategist moniker, that is more accurate, and it's a lot more of what I do, but it also differentiates me from your kind of garden variety business coach out there who just wants to ask you a bunch of questions and give you some advice.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I wanted to make sure that you had the place to say that, because that's one of the reasons why I seem to just talk about you a lot, because I know that because I know that when I it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see someone kind of struggling, and it's because that they know that how they have their business set up right now is not the way that it should be. Like, it's just not sitting well. And for me, I can think, well, maybe it's a mindset thing, maybe it's a this or that, but I know that if I send them to you, you're going to figure out what it is, and you're going to help them actually put something into action. And for me, I'm like, I don't know what could be better, so
I'm glad
I
you think that way.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like, it could be mindset, and it's usually a combination of a lot of different things, right? So I find that I've heard a lot of stories of people coming to me and saying, I spent $2,500 last year doing branding, but I still didn't know what it was that I wanted to build. Or I took these courses I had a mindset coach, but I still didn't really answer my question, right? So people get paralyzed by not having the answers. And you kind of get trained as a coach to ask a lot of questions and not give your opinion. To me, that's a bit of a therapist. People are going to pay me premium dollars to tell them exactly what they need to do and help them learn how to do it. That is the differentiation. And I think that there's a lot of value for that, having that kind of confidence. I haven't worked with a single person who has left our sessions going, well, that was a waste of time, or I didn't really learn anything. I want that to always resonate with people as my brand, as someone who's going to give them that confidence and that direction. Even in a 90-minute session, we can cover a lot of ground.
Awesome. Okay, so let's shift and talk about, what are you working on right now?
My rebranding.
Yeah.
I'm leveling my own business up and creating a new web presence and packages that will address this new audience. I've typically worked with startups and people who are at ground zero, and I love them and I love working with them, and I probably want to continue to serve them in some way. But I'm moving my coaching and strategy work to more experienced entrepreneurs, as I kind of enjoy the challenge of shifting a business that's already established. And those entrepreneurs have a little more skin in the game, with more at stake, and they've learned a little bit more about what they really want. I feel like my experience and my kind of roll up your sleeves personality are a bit of a better fit for this group. They're the people who, have done this before, and they want someone who has experience in that kind of execution mindset. They don't want to spend endless hours speculating and wringing their hands over what they should do next. And I'm hoping this new site that I'm building with all my new photos are going to speak to this audience much more than my current site does, which was really just the toe in the water. And that's what entrepreneurs need to do. They need to throw something out there and see what sticks and do that learning. And I hope it presents me as this no-nonsense, action-oriented strategist who's going to make their vision a reality.
Awesome. That's great. Okay. And so, so you're rebranding, and so is that like the next thing you're checking off your list, really? When does that all happen?
Probably in the next few weeks.
Awesome.
The design is done, the photos are done, and I've done a lot of my own digging around pricing and around how to present and package up my offers. And you know what? Speaking of the mindset thing, there was a huge mindset thing for me to get over too, in terms of accepting my own value, right? And accepting that people see value in the work that I do. And I firmly believe that now.
Absolutely. Ooh, that's good. See, I definitely love to dive into both, right? The action and the mindset. And that's encouraging just to hear you say like, yeah, I mean, it comes in for sure. It's something that you have to deal with, but let's make sure at the end of the day, we're still taking action towards what we're trying to do.
Every client has had some element of that, and we still cover that off, but it's not enough to do it in isolation.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple quick, easy questions. First of all, your favorite place you've ever traveled to?
Oh gosh, I'm going to have to say a little town called Baños in Ecuador. It's a little town that's nestled in the middle of these crazy huge Andean mountains. And they have an active volcano right at the top of the town. So they often have to evacuate. And there's this little guy that sits at the top of the mountain whose job it is to watch for activity in the volcano. Literally, like they have almost this like broken telephone thing that goes down from his little place at the top of the mountain. And speaking of entrepreneurs, he's built this little place around his job, and he built this swing that goes out from his lookout tower. I'll have to send you pictures, but it goes out over top of this huge like mountain valley that's thousands of feet down. It's totally surreal, completely not certified for safety, and completely unexpected and thrilling. But people make the trip up there and pay him money they're all in US dollars. So they pay him like $5 or something to go and swing on this swing, because it's absolutely insane. It's like you swing and you go out over top of nothing.
Oh my gosh.
And that was probably one of my favorite places to go.
Cool. I like that. Okay. What's your favorite way to learn? Do you listen, read? What does that look like for you?
I have to do. If you tell me something, I won't remember. If you show me something, I might remember. But if I do it myself, I'll not only remember it, but I'll start building on it and find a way to make it my own.
Nice. And that's where the good stuff comes into your business, because you've done this stuff for so long.
Yeah,
too.
I have.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been without its challenges, but
surely. Yeah.
Those scars they're helpful, right?
Absolutely. In this moment, what would you love to outsource?
Hands down, I would love to outsource my sales pages. I love to write, and I'm working on honing my copywriting skills, but just haven't clicked with that sales page writing style. Maybe one day I will, but for now, that job's going to someone else. Yeah, it's so important that it's right. I'm going to leave it to the professionals for now, but one day, I find it takes a lot of time to be creative, like for me anyway, because I'm very analytical and action oriented. And so for me to sit down and get my head into the creative space is actually really challenging. So that's a piece that I have outsourced, and I probably will outsource for a little while.
Yeah, that is hard. And for me, even as I feel like I'm definitely more creative than I am analytical, but sometimes it's flowing and sometimes it's not.
No, I know. I had a moment of flowing last week and I wrote some copy for my website, but other than that, it doesn't. I'm so busy with kids and with, the jobs or the businesses and all the things.
All the things, yeah.
It's just, finding that couple hours is just really tough to do.
I'm just interested because most of the time my guests are more on the creative end, and I know that you're not quite. So you're so much more that analytical brain. So do you know what your 16 personalities is?
Oh, all those personality tests. Probably. Give me an example of.
I'm an INFJ, which for
yeah, that's the Myers-Briggs stuff.
Yeah.
I am ENTJ.
ENTJ. Okay. Yeah. Thinker and extrovert. Okay.
Yeah. But I think I'm moving more towards the introverted extrovert. Or extroverted introvert. One or other.
Kind of like a mix.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's so that must be the real main difference, because I'm still a feeler, very much a feeler, and you're a thinker. I'm
a borderline sociopath. I don't feel. No, I'm a thinker. I am definitely a thinker. And if you look at the persuasion styles too, I think that's what they're called. I'm a questioner. I need to fully understand something and believe in it before I will invest in it. So sometimes that can happen really quickly, and I make sure that it does. I don't need to spend a lot of time speculating, but I work very quickly to understand things so that I can either invest in them or move on.
Awesome. That's a really good insight into that. We're all a little different there. Okay, so one last question we have to end with. I want you to look back. What advice would you give to yourself when you were first starting your business? We're all that girl on our couch figuring it out, but to that girl on her couch hunched over her MacBook trying to figure this out, what would you say to her?
Other than some commentary on what I was wearing back then, I would say just start. It doesn't have to be perfect. It will never be perfect anyway. It's going to be always a growing and a work in progress. No one even knows you're out there right now. So you can screw things up and not a soul will know or care. And you won't learn anything if you don't start. I've gotten so good at failing and pivoting that it's almost more fun for me now than it's almost more fun for me now when I get things wrong, because I know that I'm one step closer to getting it right.
I like it. Okay. Brilliant advice. Thank you. Before we go, could you please tell the listeners where they can find you online?
I am at www.StephanieHayes.biz. And for all of your listeners, I am offering a free discovery call so we can sit down and hash through some of your strategy. And to find that, you can go to www.StephanieHayes.biz/MIYP, Marketing and Yoga Pants.
Oh, you rock.
I did do it. Yeah.
I'm probably going to take advantage of that one. Oh my goodness. You guys have no idea how awesome that is that you can get in on that. Okay. Well, thank you. I can't thank you enough for that. Okay. Awesome. You heard her, girls. Go check her out. Send her some love. Go get a free session. Holy smokes. Steph's a rock star. And hop into our private Facebook group to hear even more from Steph over the next few days. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Marketing and Yoga Pants podcast. Keep the conversation going by visiting marketingandyogapants.com/Facebook, where you'll get to join that private Facebook group I've been talking so much about. There, you'll get to chat with our podcast guests. Yeah, they're in there too, and all of the other brilliant creative business owners. We're connecting, we're meeting our soul sisters, and we're building our businesses, all while in yoga pants. So come hang out with us. Again, visit marketingandyogapants.com/Facebook to get in. And one more thing. If you dig this podcast, would you be awesome and share it with someone? This entire Marketing and Yoga Pants movement is nothing without its community. So please share. And if you're really feeling the love right now, jump into iTunes. You're probably already there if you're listening to this right now. And leave us a rating and review. The more of those we rack up, the more the podcast will be found by ladies like you, and the stronger this community becomes. This episode was edited and produced by the Podcast Engineers. They're pretty great, so go find them at podcastengineers.com. This episode was also brought to you by my online marketing agency, Jam Marketing Group, and you can find us at jammarketinggroup.co. That's all for now. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you back here next week on the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. Love ya. Bye.